Competition gets soft when we breaking them off. Tell the fast back off that you won the guitars. To the chest, no rest, till me next to me, John. Come test, player pass me the ball. Good God, we don't run from the law, it's the law. Good God, we don't run from the law, it's the law. Good God, we don't run from the law, it's the law. Good God, we don't run from the law. You're irrelevant, you the consuming, you and your delegates. Fellowship, me and my trooper, we keep intelligent, elegant, heavy shit dropping just like an elephant. Pelican, assassinate the nation for the hell of it. We don't run from the law, it's the law. Good God, we don't run from the law, it's the law. We don't run from the law, it's the law. We don't run from the law, it's the law. We don't run from the law, it's the law. We don't run from the law, it's the law.
As you can see, we're back. RingCast quarantine edition. We got the team. We got Bex, Hasib, David. We got Simon, myself, Henry. Obviously, it's interesting times at the moment in life, but we'll just jump straight into it. It's interesting times in boxing as well. We haven't really had any major cards for a little while now. I know there was a random one a few weeks back, wasn't there, where they sprayed the fighters down on a card. I believe it was in Asia somewhere, but I'm just wondering what it's gonna mean for the future. I mean, how far do you reckon, or how long until we get sort of one of those bigger cards? I'll start with you, David. How long do you reckon?
It could be a year or two, because obviously the situation is unprecedented. And
what, a year or two before a big card?
Yeah. I think, because think about it, like especially in the UK, a lot of things are not the same anymore. The rules are going to change in terms of social distancing and making sure you're going out your mask and stuff. So I
what
think
about behind closed doors though?
Behind closed doors, I mean, is that even okay? Personally, I don't think we should be having behind the closed door fights. There's no point. I don't see the point of it. I don't see the entertainment factor of it. And I'm a purist of boxing as well, but you like to hear the crowd. You like to hear some background noise. You like to feel the excitement in the air. So personally, I don't really like the behind the closed door fight.
But then there's no alternative, is there? Like
no, but I mean, okay, yeah, everyone's gonna get paid, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, but then okay, I understand what you mean in terms of the bigger cards, like the pay-per-view ones or the big major shows. But what about all these like smaller hall shows, or like even some of these like international cards where the crowds are quite small anyway, and you can barely hear the crowd coming from the TV. All you hear is like the commentators and stuff. I mean, Si, do you reckon that can run? Do you think the crowd is that big of a factor? Obviously, it's a big factor, but do you think because no crowd, it shouldn't really?
Yeah, for me, I think I can't imagine actually watching a boxing fight without there being a crowd. And imagine being a fighter as well, used to coming out to a pumped up arena, fighting in front of loads of fans, maybe not even those fans, so even like when you're coming out for undercard fights, at least there's some people in there. Yeah. And I just don't think they'd be up for it. I think fighters give excuses that they weren't, it wasn't the right environment to fight. You've done some kind of social distance type of training, then you walk into an empty arena. Okay, millions of people watching, but it's not going to have the atmosphere. Even watching on TV, can you imagine when it's all popping off and you can't hear anything apart from the trainers shouting and stuff? It's just, I think they just wait until the time's right. Maybe do some up-and-coming prospect fights to keep it going, like the smaller cards and Matchroom dudes, do stuff like that. But the big fights and the guys who usually fight on pay-per-view has to wait, for me personally. Unless they do what Eddie says, where they move it to a country where it's completely safe. And you're saying Australia or something like that, or New Zealand, maybe move it there and have a fight there. I guess that's the only way to really do it.
Yeah, I mean, Hasib, you're in Dubai anyway, aren't you? So I know he's been talking about Middle East and those areas, in terms of, well, one, the issue was how are they going to pay the fighters? And obviously after we've had a couple fights in Saudi already. So that takes care of the money issue. So would it just be about the social distancing now with the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of no crowds, and even though things are better here in the Middle East, you know, there's still the cafes, the bars, the nightclubs are all closed. You know, offices are at 30% capacity, so it's not entirely going to get rid of all of the problems. And as mentioned earlier, I just can't imagine fights happening with no crowds. I mean, imagine you're in the middle of the round and all you can hear literally are the two trainers. You know, it's just weird and awkward. And I think actually it could happen. I don't think David's estimation of 1 or 2 years for these big cards are actually that way off. And I actually think that this would, if they did decide to go ahead with cards behind closed doors, then I think the only people really that would benefit would actually be Sky from a box office point of view, because fans will be craving for shows. And secondly, the less tier fighters, so your B-level, your C-level fighters who wouldn't usually ever headline a pay-per-view, but because of the supply and demand, they might actually get an opportunity to headline a pay-per-view if the pay-per-view prices were reasonable. If we had, for example, let's go back 2 years, that version of David Allen, if he was fighting today for $9.99 on a pay-per-view slot, I think people would buy it. And I think that
Dave Allen, yeah.
Who's buying that? Who is
I
buying
think
that?
now if you put live
It's
boxing,
mad how
on
times have changed, isn't it?
Yeah, supply and demand, man. I think I think the demand at the moment is quite high for any type of sport. I mean, I've been watching darts and stuff here, man, and I'll tell you what, I don't even know what the rules are. So people are just craving for some kind of sports and entertainment at the moment that's current, and I think it could actually benefit the promoters and the broadcasters.
That's what I'm saying.
Straight. Nobody is gonna demand David Allen. Let's just get it out there. No one's gonna demand that.
What, is that how we're coming in? Yeah, my Dave Allen's just chilling, enjoying his quarantine. Yeah, and just,
minding his own business in that.
You know what I mean? But yeah, Bex, like I mean, maybe it's because I'm desperate for some action, like in terms of just watching some sort of competitive sport. Like I don't really, if it comes to it behind closed doors, then I'm just kind of for it. Like, what do you reckon?
When it comes to boxing, it's like if it's going to be behind closed doors, all you're paying for is glorified sparring, isn't it? It's just going to be like a sparring session. We don't really need to see that in this time that we're living in. Best to just allow it. Now I know that.
What, just scrap it, yeah?
Just scrap it together.
Allow it for a bit. Just let it. There's bigger problems in the world than people not watching sport. Now we all love sport and that, but I mean, come on. If it's just going to be for 6 months, 8 months, or even a year, I don't think it's going to be 2 years, but year tops. I can wait for that. Really, these fighters should be getting their shit together, getting all.
Yeah, I mean,
take this time out, get all your business in check, make sure you got your training, your team properly around you, and focus on yourself rather than worrying about getting for the bit. Now I know everyone needs to get paid, but most of these big tier fighters, they can't really be that bothered. Like man, like AJ must be chilling. He's happy. He ain't got to do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fair. Like, obviously, if they said, right, there's going to be no live action, no spectators for like a year, I'm sure everyone can deal with that. But by the looks of things, yeah, go on.
As I said, the UFC's got a fight card coming up soon. Ferguson. I don't know how they're managing that. If it's just going to be like behind closed doors and that. But yeah,
Dana White's on this island business, isn't he?
I mean, I've always said, man, boxing needs someone like him to try and push these things. But I think in this time that we're living in now, safety first, man. Just chill for a bit. It's going to hurt the pockets and that, but, you know, it's hurting everyone's pockets. So.
But imagine a situation where you're like 2 weeks out for a fight and then the trainer catches coronavirus. What happens then? Do you just try and push the fight back 2 weeks? I guess it'd be easier because there'd be no fans with it. So you just work with the broadcasters, push it back for 2 weeks.
Just like forcing it.
And then reschedule it. But it's just, so many problems have come up with it. I don't really see how it's viable.
Just forcing.
That's what I'm saying, 2 years. Like you guys talk about 6 months to a year. Like a lot, like people can still get the virus, and for it to be completely eradicated, you need to wait a long time for that. Especially for the larger cards.
The thing is,
I mean, it's going to be a long time before you see Anthony Joshua having 80 to 100,000 people in Wembley.
no. Look. In terms of like spectators and all that, like that's written off definitely for 18 months to 2 years easily. That's for sure. But like the closed doors, like we wait a year till society gets back to some sort of normality in terms of like people can go to work, be it on a voluntary basis, and then businesses are open, but there's social distancing, exercise in every form of life. Then just start the fights behind closed doors, innit? Because then I feel like the boxing industry will almost collapse, really, if we wait too long. Like there'll be tons and tons of fighters who are gonna have to just find another job, mate.
Yeah, the smaller fighters, up and coming ones, they're in big trouble, aren't they? Really, they're not fighting, they're not getting paid.
Yeah, unless
like I said though, that's the same for a lot of working people, though, isn't it? Like, people are self-employed and that, and they're not getting paid. It's the same scenario for them. And really, as I said, I would rather not get paid or struggle with my bills rather than be laying upon a ventilator.
Oh no. So yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to risking people's livelihoods, that's not really. But
if they start having it behind closed doors or limited crowd participation, the next thing is going to be concerts, and the next thing and it's just going to start a snowball effect. I think they should just really assess what's going on first before they start even contemplating things like that.
Yeah, I guess I see doing it behind closed doors, the equivalent of us working from home, to be honest. Just make sure everyone's tested, and then we move. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about this for for months, aren't we? Or when are we going to start again? What's going to happen? But I guess the beauty of boxing is we got enough characters to where there's always going to be storylines in the background of like fights that are potentially going to be made, what's going to happen, who's going to fight who, etc. And another story that, fun enough, it came from The Sun. They decided to compile a list of the top 10 British fighters of the last 30 years. Now, I'm just going to share that because, as you can see, you've got Joe Calzaghe there at the top, Lennox Lewis, Tyson Fury, David Haye, Ricky Hatton, Chris Eubanks Sr. I thought that was Junior for a second. I was like, what? Senior, Naz, Duke McKenzie, Nigel Benn, and AJ at number 10. Obviously, two glaring omissions. Carl Froch is the main one, and the second one is Kell Brook. We've also Amir Khan is a glaring omission as well, especially when you look at this list. But I mean, while I get up exactly what I said in the chat, because I don't want to be a hypocrite or not a hypocrite. I don't want to what's the word? Completely forgotten it. But I want to keep consistent basically with my view on this, list. But just looking at this, like, to me, Froch should go in at number 4 or 5 at a minimum.
Yeah, I have Froch at 5 as well.
Like, Haseeb, where do you put your boy?
Everyone knows I'm not exactly Froch's biggest fan, but the fact that he's not even in this list is madness. He probably has the best CV of any British fighter in the last 15, 20 years. I'd probably have him in at 4.
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe even 3 at the highest. Maybe even 3.
I'm not mad at that. I
don't know. I agree with the top 3, apart from I swap Lewis and Calzaghe. I have Lewis, Calzaghe, Fury, and then I argument for Froch.
I had Lewis, Haye, and Fury in the top 3. The reason being is because they were unified champions in their divisions at some point or another.
You got Hay
And-
over
You got
Calzaghe.
Hay in the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Fury over Calzaghe.
No, because everybody only remembers David Hay from heavyweight. I'm talking about cruiserweight. David Hay.
Over Calzaghe.
No
Or
way.
because I'm a Joe Calzaghe.
No.
No, it can't be.
No way.
I'm
I wouldn't have.
there.
I wouldn't have Froch that high as you, man. You know, I'd have Froch.
Yeah,
around-
I had
I'd
such a
have him
little bit
around
lower.
about 6.
What's your top
Yeah,
five?
no, I had such a fan.
What's your top five then, Bex?
I agree with the top 5 they got there. I'd probably put. I'd leave Hay above Hatton, because like Dave said, you know, to be fair to Dave, he was undisputed. So I mean, and that holds a lot for me. And obviously, you got Tyson Fury being lineal champ. I know people don't really like that shit, but Lewis obviously undisputed. I would put Lewis above Calzaghe, to be honest. Lewis would be
Definitely.
Yep,
I
100%.
actually,
You can't
I think Fury's
be
right.
undisputed heavyweight champ and not be on number 1. No, that's
Nah. Oh,
And-
yeah.
and-
Someone said he shouldn't be on it.
And
Someone
the
said
guys
Fury
he
shouldn't
beat
be
as
on it.
well. And the guys beat his argument with Calzaghe's resume to always
Listen,
have.
yeah.
Is that
At the end of the day, all these guys beat each other, but nobody beat Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing. And that's why Calzaghe's the highest on the list. Because no one else.
Calzaghe and
What,
Lewis is
just-
1A, 1B for me.
just because of unbeaten record?
Yeah,
I don't even want to say Calzaghe's record's padded.
If Tyson Fury retired now,
Come on,
if Tyson Fury retired today, he's got a better resume than Calzaghe.
You reckon?
He's got better wins, definitely. The wins over Klitschko and Wilder alone is better than any Calzaghe win.
Which one?
Fury's wins over Klitschko and Wilder
Yeah, I'll give you
Better
Klitschko.
and Wilder.
Not Wilder.
Okay, you can make a case that Wilder was the hype job that Lacey was, so you can knock them off. Yeah, but the Klitschko win for me is the one that seals it when you look at resumes head to head, Fury versus Calzaghe.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I mean, I wouldn't really argue too much. I don't know who. Yeah, if I saw Lewis at number 1, I wouldn't really complain. But yeah, same time with Calzaghe, I'm not really complaining. But Hatton, I want to come to him.
No, he's way down for me. He's 9th.
Yeah. I had Hatton that low as well.
Yeah, I kind of agree there. We all
I think with
love
Hatton,
him.
I think with Hatton, he's just that high because
Because of
how
what he did.
popular he was.
Yeah,
It was how popular he was and what he did with taking the fans to Vegas and being the people's champ, you know, the beer drinking and all that kind of stuff. But if you look at it purely on ability, resume, achievements, I mean, there's an argument to say he's not even in the top 10. I'd probably have him 9 or 10.
Up until the Mayweather fight, he did have a good run, and the Tszyu win was obviously a great win. And he did fight Mayweather and Pacquiao. Obviously got flattened against Pacquiao, got outclassed against Mayweather, but I think he's got a good enough resume to make the top 10, definitely. Looking at the list.
I think he's had 2 good wins, really good wins. One was Costa Tszyu, and 2 was, what's that guy's name? Or Otana or something?
Who,
Uranga,
Uranga?
whatever.
I can't remember.
Uranga.
Yeah.
Uranga.
Yeah.
Uranga.
That was, it was all right. It was a good win. It was all right.
Well, he was pretty hyped up at the time, really hyped up at the time. And
Yeah,
I
it was
felt
all right.
a good win.
But then did Devon take him out not long after? That may have been a few more days, days, a few more years down the line. But yeah. No,
I just felt that Hatton didn't really have that many good wins, and obviously he got pummeled by Pac and Floyd. But up until then, I did feel he was quite protected.
All right, here's a good question. Who should be higher, Hatton or Amir Khan? Who, if you think Khan should be in the list? Hatton or Khan?
I have Khan at number 10.
Bias aside, I genuinely think Amir probably should. If you look at longevity, if you look at the competition in the divisions he was fighting at, I think he picked up better belts. I think he unified 2 of the 4 titles in 140. Genuinely, bias aside, I would have Amir ahead.
All right, yeah. So not to preempt it. So looking at looking at this list, right, I think we all probably agree that maybe AJ is too soon for him to crack that list just based on the other names, right? So if you remove AJ, Hatton moves down. Who's higher, Hatton or Khan?
No, I actually have AJ above Hatton and Khan.
Oh, really? Okay, so you have Hatton still in that list. So that means Hatton or Khan.
Joshua, yeah.
Yeah, that means Hatton or Khan misses out. Who misses out for you?
Oh, both for me. Duke McKenzie's out of that list. Sorry to say it. He was the first name that got dashed out. I'm sorry.
Are you gonna do the Croydon legend like that?
The bottom three I've got.
That.
The bottom three I've
agree
got
with
is Khan at number 10, Hatton at number 9, and Joshua at number 8.
Hey, we're gonna get called some millennials, boy.
Yeah, Mackenzie goes for me, man.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Well, obviously, one person who thought that, AJ should come off that list was Carl Froch. Obviously, we discussed Froch should be at minimum 5th on the list, but then he said AJ shouldn't even be there. And I'm just going to read out what he said. And apparently this was on an Instagram live with Coogan on IFL TV. He goes, "I'm not giving AJ stick, but I got knocked out by a little fat kid from Mexico. I've never been knocked out in my life, amateur or professional."
Always has to bring himself in.
Yeah, AJ got beat up by a fat Mexican who we don't really know how good the Mexican is because he hasn't done anything really. And they've got him in the top 10. And then obviously that was captioned, and then obviously the headlines were what went rampant and stuff like that. And then Froch kind of on his own podcast backtracked. He said, he was just having a conversation off the record, and I've seen something on Instagram. I don't think it's made the press or gone any further. They've twisted what I said. Anthony Joshua's got beat by this fat kid from Mexico, which is out of order because Andy Ruiz is a decent fighter. This is all Froch's words. He's a good fighter. He can punch. He's got quick hands. He is overweight, but yes, he can fight. So that was Froch kind of backtracking. And then he goes, my beef wasn't with AJ. My beef was with the list. You've got AJ in at number 10. You've got to have me in somewhere between 9 and maybe even top 5. Then he goes on to say it's ludicrous to not have him in the top 10. AJ's had a good career, but yeah, he should be in there. And then I know Hasibi sent a little clip into the group the other day of AJ kind of firing back a shot at Froch, showing a clip of Froch talking about him and then him telling him to shut up. And also I think, I missed out that Froch revealed that AJ sent him 4 WhatsApp messages at midnight, but then deleted them all. So yeah, so that kind of kept us going for the last couple of days. But Bex, guy, would you make of all that?
For the most part, Froch is just speaking facts, isn't it? You got knocked out by a fat kid from Mexico. Like, if you feel bad about it, you should have trained and prepared and not let it happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. It's harsh how he's put it, and he's kind of been a bit derogatory, a bit disrespectful, but it's still the truth. No matter which way you want to look at it, it's still the truth. Can't really be that mad at the truth.
And I think what we were saying in the other day, I think me and Hasib were kind of on the same page, whereas everyone else just kind of thought AJ should have just manned up about it. I think it was perhaps, he went on live, just spoke that way, and then kind of tried to backtrack a little bit. And I guess what he was saying was true, right? And we don't know how strong their relationship is, if they've even got a relationship, if they're friends, if they're just cool, what the situation is. I kind of felt like they're just ways to say, look, I should be in that list. I don't think AJ should because he got beat. I've never been stopped. Keep it moving. But then obviously when you add the got knocked out by a fat kid from Mexico.
I know I think that's the line which probably would have burned AJ, because when you look at the list, most of them guys have been knocked out anyway. So it's just Joshua's just an easy target when you look at the list. He's an easy target, literally. And I think Froch has picked on that. Obviously, AJ's seen it, felt a bit hurt by it, even though most of it is true. But it's what it's. I think
he knows what he's doing, man. He knows what he's doing, and yeah, we can all say he's spitting the truth. He's just saying facts, but there are ways in which you communicate something. You can say something which is completely fact, but you can say it in a way which is made to be a dig at someone. And this is one of those examples.
They are fighters, so there's still going to be that level of like, you know, competitiveness. You know, Froch even come out and he was like, yeah, he broke my record.
I don't think this was competitiveness. This was pettiness for me.
Well,
this was pettiness.
It is. But, you know, it's fighters are emotional, man. They're like, you got knocked out, simple as. And, you know,
I think Froch's ego's got bruised.
He better smirking like you got knocked out.
No, it's for a while.
How many times have you said that you got knocked out in the last minute, Max?
It's true, though, isn't it?
We play it back and count that. But I have noticed for a while, Froch has been on AJ's case a little bit, especially with the whole Wilder thing. He was always more leaning on the side of Wilder, saying it was Team AJ that didn't want to fight. And when he's always made to make a prediction, he's always gone with Wilder as well. So I really do wonder how much they are friends behind the scenes. I think it's more so what we see, you know, the Sky Sports boxing team all coming together and showing United front. So I wouldn't be surprised if AJ proper stuck it on WhatsApp and deleted the messages.
I think there's definitely jealousy from Froch because obviously they've got the same trainer. He hasn't had the same amount of, you know, portion publicity and all that. There's definitely jealousy there, but still speaking facts.
Personally, I feel like AJ could have just responded the same way Froch did. Like, don't have a brutal spirit and make the little comments and slap the laptop. Just react the same way he did. Go on live, do the same interview. Just keep it going that way, because I feel like in the boxing game, when someone comes at you, you got to come back at them twice as harder. And I feel that should be the same thing, regardless of the relationship. You know what I mean? I just feel like
but that's my thing. You see, I think if them two don't really have a relationship at all, then fair game. But if them two are cool, like if they're cool,
I think AJ should have just done what AJ always does, just
exactly
come out and said, you know, I'm grateful just to be on the list. And I mean, just be that nice
Stay
guy.
humble.
Keep it moving. Stay humble. That's it. That's what he needs to do. Kill him with kindness. That's what he's been doing, isn't it?
Stay hungry. Stay humble. Yeah, but we know what it is with AJ though. Really, we know.
Yeah, definitely.
No, to be honest with you, I would have preferred AJ to just come out and just be like, you know what, Froch, you're a bit of a prick. And the reason you're not on that list is because no one really knows you.
And that petty though. That's petty and petty.
Yeah, just post 90,000 Wembley.
That's
attendance.
Okay, it's done.
Well, he's done it like 5 times, so it's not really a big deal anymore.
That's a bit mad, isn't it? Yeah. And also,
how many times has he sold at Wembley?
At least a couple, 2 or 3, maybe 3, 2 or 3 max.
More than that, I think. More than that, right?
Probably what fights was it at Wembley? So it was Klitschko. Was Povetkin at Wembley as well?
Yeah.
Povetkin, Klitschko,
Parker. Was Parker Wales?
I think Parker.
No, that was
Parker was Cardiff.
Tackham was Cardiff, I think.
Oh, so Parker was Wembley then.
Parker was Wembley.
You know what? Wembley don't even matter. They built stadiums for AJ.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's building a stadium for Froch? Like, no one.
well, Froch is the pioneer, isn't it? So, you know what I mean?
You know what? Froch honestly deserves that place in that list. But facts are facts, man. The guy's a dick. And if I was AJ,
just want to confirm these don't reflect the thoughts of RingCast as a whole. This is that guy.
Opinions.
This is definitely me. Twitter handle @Hasib1986. Come at me.
Has he not blocked you yet, Hasib? He's not blocked you yet.
He's blocked.
Has he blocked you? Yeah, already. Yeah.
Has Hearn still got you blocked?
Hearn still has me blocked as well. Man, these matchroom guys, they can't take it. That's all it is.
We need to set up a campaign for him to unblock you, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get
Eddie's blockage. I was surprised at. It was a bit of a bitch move, but love you, Eddie.
I kind of agreed with him. Not agreed with him, but like, you know, it was to do with Bellew, wasn't it?
He was oversensitive. I think he had a tough week, to be fair.
But where would you put Amir Khan on this list?
I wouldn't.
I'll go him at 10.
Okay. I can't put Amir Khan on the list. I can't put him on the list.
No
for the fact
way.
No, hold on. Let me get it out. So I feel like Amir should be on the list because he lost to Danny Garcia, who at the time wasn't Danny Garcia, and then he got stopped by Brother Truscott, like nobody's. You know what I mean? So it's kind of difficult to put on the list when you lose to nobody. Like a lot of those guys in that list have lost to somebody's, and Khan got beat by guys who we shouldn't have got beat by.
Was Hasim Rahman somebody there?
To be fair,
Huh?
The only nobody he lost to really was Prescott.
Yeah.
But Danny Garcia wasn't like that was meant to be a gimme win.
No,
I remember that.
At the time,
it was.
he was just an opponent because the Peterson fight.
Win.
Yeah. But Garcia's gone on to prove that he was a world-class operator.
Yeah,
so,
eventually.
You know.
Henry, do you have Khan on the list?
Do you know what? I'm actually, I'm torn between. I've got Khan on the list. I've got him above. No, actually, I don't know. I've got Hatton down at 9 or 10, and then Khan just below that. I haven't really decided where I put Duke McKenzie. I think AJ just misses out at this point. Yeah, I've got Hatton above Khan though, but Khan should be on the list. Yeah, he's done a lot. He's done a lot for us. What
is it? Are you the best, or is it what you've done?
Yeah,
he's done quite a lot. You know, Hasib, I'm sure you've got it written on a poster. How many former world champions has he beat?
From memory, I think it's 13. 13, I believe.
Do you know what? Yeah, we laugh and joke because of Hasib, but I do think Khan should be on that list. I wouldn't argue if you don't have him on there, but you know, you've got AJ on there. It's amongst those names, you've got unified champions, undisputed champions, unbeaten fighters. You know what?
to be honest, I feel that the top 5 is like the solid top 5 you can have a real debate about. I think the other bottom 5 is just...
They're all subjective, aren't they?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Because you could argue Nigel Benn's low.
Yeah, and Chris Eubank Senior as well.
Yeah, I mean,
whoever made this list, I really want to know why they kept Froch out of that top 10. Like it literally baffles me every time I see it.
The sun are bugging. That's all I'm saying.
The only logical reason I think they left him out is because I genuinely think they forgot he exists. That's the only logical explanation.
Yeah, I swear, didn't that Colin Hart used to work at the Sun? Yeah, he wouldn't have left him off.
Nah, he's decent.
Come on, how are you gonna forget Froch when you remember Duke McKenzie?
Allow it.
I'm being serious. Like, come on, because let's be honest. Like, Duke was like 25 years ago. Like, Froch is pretty recent compared.
Oh, you just mean in terms of how you're gonna forget?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, just to clarify. Not trying to walk on that ledge with Simon. Yeah.
Nah.
Okay. Oh, wait. Let's not throw me off the side. Who has Duke McKenzie in their top 10?
Yeah, I got him in there.
Where?
I got him number 10.
I got him about 9, 10.
All right.
No, yeah, I got him at. Yeah,
12.
if I got him about some in and around, didn't it? In and around.
David, what's his best win?
Hey man.
Well, guys, we'll see you next week. Yeah. It's. Go on, David. Finish what you're saying.
No. I just had him at number 10. But if you want to ask what his best win is, I can't. I'm too young to remember, man. So.
At least he's honest. He's honest. You get me?
Give him that.
All right. Cool.
Any dispute with where Naz is?
So he was at number 7. No, I think like Simon said, below the top 5, 6 is quite subjective. I'd have to dissect.
6, 7's fair for Naz, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't put him above Eubank or Ben.
No, no chance.
I don't.
No.
So yeah, I think about 7-8 range probably. So yeah.
Does David
But
Hay
no.
actually make anyone's top 10? I know David said he had him high up.
Hay?
And was, yeah.
Yeah.
Top 10, man.
I think Hayes' cruiserweight accomplishment, they're going up to heavy, is a big deal. I think.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So yeah, he's definitely in the mix. Like,
he's the best cruiserweight we've ever produced. So 100%, I'd have him in there.
Yeah, there's something about Hay, right? Only certain people. Obviously, we've got a guy in our group chat who loves the guy, but thinking about it, he kind of gets not underestimated, but underappreciated in terms of what he's done. Is it because of his persona and stuff, and because he's still in and around the sport?
I think it's the Klitschko loss. I think the whole toe thing and the Klitschko loss really damaged him. Definitely. I think he'd have more credibility if he went out there all guns blazing and got knocked out. I think he would have come out better that than the whole kind of stung around the ring and then afterwards saying, "Oh look, my big toes hurt him."
Yeah, and then the way he went out of belly.
The defeats against him either. Like belly defeats, he was just faded. So no one's even holding him against him. It's just he definitely deserves to be on the list. 100%. 100%.
I think people actually feel or did feel at the time that he was the main reason why boxing came out of box office in the UK. I certainly felt that. I felt that.
Why they stopped?
Why they stopped boxing on box office was because of how bad that Klitschko fight was.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's what I felt at the time.
Would have to go back and think. I don't even remember the fact that they did that after the Klitschko fight.
The boxing was off box office for about 2 years after that fight.
Just because funny. Of the uproar. Yeah, because wasn't it brought back by Hay Audley Harrison? That's what kicked off the Matchroom empire. You remember that?
Was it?
Yeah.
3 rounds.
And they went on doing Prize Fighter and all that. So, but yeah, cool. Anyway, what we'll do, we'll wrap it up there, and then I think what we'll do next week, we'll try and sift through the current British pound for pound list, because I think everyone talks about the world, but I think we'll build up to that. We'll do the world one afterwards. But yeah, I think next week we'll do the current British pound for pound, which I think will be quite interesting because there's a lot of decent up and coming guys. So yeah, nice one, guys. We'll speak to you this time again next week. Everyone, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're going to be everywhere, all right? And you'll be seeing a lot more of us in the future. So yeah, take care, you lot.
Peace.
Peace.